They just lost the game by 23. They were down 35, and then in the second half, at least they put up some sort of a fight in the fourth quarter there to win it by 11. 26 points there in the third quarter. And if you guys didn't see, Satou Sabally played 11 minutes. She played 11 minutes. She had 9 points, was a -8. And the thing with Satou is she plays with no motor. Like, I said I wanted... People were like, do you want Satou? When I was pushing for Satou to Fever. And to be...
Satou Sabally competes for the Phoenix Mercury and has earned recognition on various platforms as the Myth. While many refer to her as a unicorn player, questions arise about whether she truly deserves such praise. Some analysts argue she doesn't rank among the top 10 players and question if she's even the premier German athlete in the WNBA. Other German players like Fibic receive higher ratings, and occasionally Louisa might be considered superior depending on circumstances. Critics suggest Sabally performs as though she measures 5'11" inches rather than her actual height, and if she were truly that size, she would likely spend most games on the sideline. This perspective reflects concerns about her overall basketball approach and effectiveness on the court.
Pushing for Satou to Fever. And to be fair, the more I watched Satou, the more I literally said, like, my whole thing was I was actually hoping that the New York Liberty got Satou and that they somehow gave a Phoebus in the deal. But, like, for myself, like, in May, I'm so glad the Fever didn't push for Satou. Elite Talbot plays with negative.
During a recent contest, Phoenix suffered a significant defeat, losing by 23 points after trailing by 35 at one stage. The team managed to mount some resistance during the final period, though they had surrendered 26 points in the third quarter alone. Sabally's contribution was limited to 11 minutes of action, during which she accumulated 9 points while posting a -8 plus-minus rating. The primary concern regarding Sabally centers on her apparent lack of intensity and drive during games. She demonstrates minimal defensive commitment and appears to operate without the necessary competitive fire that elite players typically display.
I'm so glad the Fever didn't push for Satou. Elite Talbot plays with negative motor and just doesn't play defense. I'm trying to think some other things. But the reason when I turned on Satou, like, I was really pro Satou for a while. And the reason why I went really negative on Satou was because she started getting outplayed by Katie Lou in Unrivaled. And it was an effort thing more so than like an ability thing. It was like Satou just wasn't trying. And then she was...
This observation became particularly evident during unrivaled competition, where Katie Lou Samuelson consistently outperformed her, highlighting what appeared to be an effort disparity rather than a skill gap. In a revealing interview intended to showcase her dedication, Sabally mentioned training for 1 hour daily during Unrivaled. This admission raised eyebrows among observers who noted that even amateur and semi-professional players often exceed such minimal preparation time. The contrast becomes stark when considering the substantial financial compensation professional athletes receive, which should motivate more extensive training regimens. Following the recent loss, Mercury head coach Nate Tibbetts addressed Sabally's limited playing time, explaining his decision to bench her for the entire second half.
And then she said in an interview, and this was meant to have been like an interview to make her look good, she said she worked out an hour a day at Unrivaled. It said Unrivaled allowed her to work out an hour a day, and I'm like, I was like, I used to work out an hour a day when I was playing when I was like an amateur player on a low-level semi-professional team in Ireland. I wasn't even getting paid. There was like 3 guys on my team that were getting paid. It was like as low a level,
The coach stated it was purely a tactical choice, emphasizing that the team lacked collective energy and that Sabally failed to provide the necessary spark the situation demanded. When questioned about substitution patterns, particularly regarding Kahani Brown's increased role, the coach dismissed such inquiries as irrelevant. The focus remained on Sabally's inability to meet the energy standards required for meaningful court time. The Mercury's acquisition of Sabally came through a complex trade arrangement that also brought Alyssa Thomas to Phoenix. Interestingly, the assets surrendered by Phoenix appeared minimal compared to what other teams contributed.
Lower level, the lowest level of pro ball, one of the lower levels of pro ball you're going to see. And I worked out an hour a day, like outside of team practice. and I was an amateur. And I'm like, you are getting paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions a year, including the Adidas deal, to do that. And she was saying it like it was something. And I'm like, Jesus, this is just kind of a crazy situation right here. But
the Mercury essentially traded Sophie Cunningham and a 12th overall draft selection, while Dallas received more valuable compensation from Indiana, including Nalissa Smith and an 8th overall pick. This trade structure suggests Phoenix views Thomas as the primary asset, with Sabally representing a secondary consideration. The team's future strategy likely revolves around retaining Thomas while potentially moving other pieces, including Sabally, if necessary. Thomas represents an engine that can drive team success, but she requires appropriate supporting pieces, particularly reliable shooters who can capitalize on her playmaking abilities. The Mercury's roster construction should focus on identifying players who complement Thomas's strengths rather than pursuing big-name acquisitions that don't fit the system.
This is just kind of a crazy situation right here. But this is Nate Tibbetts about Satou being benched for the whole second half.
Well, the first one was a coach's decision. You know, we didn't have it collectively as a group, and you know, I didn't think Satou was, you know, she didn't bring the energy that we needed.
Hey, Coach, what led you to play Kalani Brown at the start of the third quarter?
Sabally's current role and performance raise questions about her overall value proposition. While she possesses scoring ability, her shooting percentages and one-dimensional approach create concerns. Players at her height and with her opportunities typically contribute more comprehensively to team success through passing, defense, or other secondary skills. The perception problem surrounding Sabally stems partly from media coverage and nickname attribution that may have inflated expectations beyond her actual capabilities. The unicorn designation created unrealistic standards that her performance hasn't consistently matched.
Play Kalani Brown at the start of the third quarter, and would you have?
All right, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, the Kalani Brown thing. But the Mercury saying that he didn't play Satou Sabally is a coach's decision. She didn't bring the energy that we needed. Pushing Satou to New York, man, I don't think the Phoenix Mercury give a damn if they get Satou Sabally. Like, to act like the Phoenix Mercury gave up anything for Satou. Like, they literally, I'm not joking when I say this, to get Alyssa Thomas.
Various analysts and media personalities have previously suggested Sabally surpassed Thomas in overall impact, a claim that recent performances have challenged. The gap between reputation and production has become increasingly evident through actual game situations and statistical analysis. The coaching staff's recent decisions reflect a pragmatic approach to roster utilization, prioritizing players who provide necessary energy and effort regardless of reputation or perceived potential. This approach suggests the organization values production over promise when determining playing time and role allocation. Moving forward, Sabally's situation serves as a case study in how player evaluation must extend beyond physical attributes and highlight reels to include consistency, effort, and basketball intelligence.
I'm not joking when I say this. To get Alyssa Thomas, like, for them to get Satou Sabally, they gave up Sophie Cunningham. They gave up Sophie Cunningham for Satou. And the 12th pick. They gave up Tash Cloud, Sophie Cunningham, and the 12th pick for Alyssa Thomas and Satou. They managed to somehow work it around. The Fever gave up more in the Satou deal. The Fever gave up Nalissa Smith in the 8th pick. So they have a first-round pick.
The Mercury's handling of her role indicates a willingness to make difficult decisions based on current performance rather than future potential or past accolades. The broader implications of this situation extend to how teams assess and value players, particularly those who receive significant media attention without corresponding on-court impact. Organizations must balance external perceptions with internal evaluations when making personnel decisions that affect team chemistry and success.
Stop the game, and then an official goes over and says, hey, we had inappropriate comments made, and they kick the guy out of the game. If you can't make a joke about a wig getting knocked off during a game, I don't know what you can say anymore. Play it.
Malfunction. Shakira, beautiful passer, Christy.
During a recent WNBA matchup, an unusual incident occurred when a player's hairpiece was accidentally removed during gameplay. The match officials immediately halted the proceedings while the athlete retrieved her fallen hairpiece and exited to the changing area. Subsequently, arena security removed a spectator who had made remarks about the situation that were deemed inappropriate by the team's coaching staff. This incident raises questions about the practicality of wearing such accessories during competitive athletics. The additional weight and heat generated by artificial hairpieces could potentially impact athletic performance and comfort during intense physical activity.
Just what she's been able to do. And now they have an issue with a fan as the officials, as Phoenix's bench had an issue. They're having Alyssa Thomas and Nate Tibbetts point out which fan it is so that security here at Care First Arena can have that dealt with.
The decision to pause gameplay for such an occurrence seems unusual, particularly when games often continue despite player injuries.
Dealt with. As we're waiting to get back to play here. So the officials are now talking to arena security here. As you can see, so a fan said something. The Phoenix Mercury bench heard it, and they did not like what was said. They're taking exception to it, so Amy Bonner, crew chief, is trying to have this sorted out with the arena security here.
They ought to give this guy an award for getting kicked out. I want to know what joke he made. What a ridiculous thing to do, first of all. If you're really serious about playing basketball, how do you play in a wig? I mean, that has to be... How do you play in a wig? I mean, that has to be hot. That has to add a lot of weight when you're wearing that whole thing to run all over the court. How can you be serious about being the best version of yourself when you have a multi-pound wig on top of your head? I don't even understand this. And how do you stop the game because a wig gets knocked off? They sometimes don't even stop the game when guys get injured. They let play continue. Is there a WNBA rule that play continue? Is there a WNBA rule that if your wig gets knocked off, that you have to stop all play? I don't even understand this. This is not a serious league. This is not real life that this could end up having happen. So that happened in the WNBA. It's real. It is unfortunately not spectacular, and the hair is not, in fact, real or spectacular. Terry Hatcher, Seinfeld reference. But we talked about the fact that in the WNBA, we had a wig ripped off the head. This is the perfect picture. Okay. This is the perfect picture. Okay. Good job on the photo. Last night during a WNBA game, so 2 nights ago, wig gets yanked off the hair. They stopped the game for a wig. Last night in the WNBA, bright green dildo thrown onto the court. Can we get a picture here? I think we have the audio of the dildo discussion as well. Come to me for the best dildo analysis anywhere in sports. Here is the discussion along with a photo in sports. Here is the discussion along with a photo of said green dildo. And I'm going to read some of the funny comments that were made after this in a moment. Let's watch.
Hayes gets blocked by Maya Caldwell. Something flies on the court, actually, from the crowd. The officials will say they will continue play as that goes off the fingertips of the Valkyries. And you can see the object, the block.
Comments ranged from humorous observations to creative suggestions about league policies. Notable social media reactions included comparisons to other sports traditions, such as Detroit's octopus throwing custom, while others suggested implementing themed promotional nights. Some users pointed out the irony that both artificial hair pieces and adult novelty items had become talking points within the same week of WNBA coverage. Creative responses included jokes about taxation policies, maritime references, and comparisons to other sporting venues' traditions. Several comments noted the environmental implications of the green coloring choice, while others questioned security protocols at arena entrances. The commentary highlighted how these incidents overshadow actual gameplay discussion, with media coverage focusing more on unusual disruptions than athletic achievements. Observers noted that league coverage often emphasizes drama, compensation disputes, and notable personalities rather than competitive performance. Additional social media responses included suggestions for promotional giveaways, comparisons to other leagues' entertainment value, and commentary on broadcast analysis quality. Some users created fictional scenarios about how the incident occurred, including potential betting consequences or fantasy league punishments. The creative community response demonstrated remarkable wit, with references ranging from classic television characters to current political figures. Many comments played on the timing coincidence of both incidents occurring within such a short time frame. Security implications were also discussed, with questions about screening procedures and evidence handling protocols. The contrast between fan reactions to different types of disruptions sparked conversations about appropriate venue behavior and league standards. Several responses highlighted the absurdity of the situation by comparing the accuracy of the thrown object to actual game shots, while others suggested rule modifications that could incorporate such incidents into gameplay mechanics. The overall social media engagement demonstrated how unusual incidents can generate more public interest than regular season gameplay, raising questions about marketing strategies and audience engagement methods for professional women's basketball. Commentary about league priorities emerged, with observers noting how non-basketball incidents receive disproportionate attention compared to athletic performance and competitive achievements. The incident sparked broader discussions about professionalism, fan behavior, and media coverage in women's professional sports. The creative responses also included suggestions for other public figures and venues, demonstrating how the incident transcended sports commentary and entered broader cultural discussion. Environmental consciousness was even referenced through the color choice of the thrown object. Various users contributed elaborate scenarios about evidence collection, locker room protocols, and promotional night concepts.